The origin of bonsai, the Japanese art of growing and training miniature trees in containers, is not what many think. The Japanese art of bonsai originated from the Chinese practice of penjing. Classical Chinese gardens often contain arrangements of miniature trees and rockeries known as penjing. These creations of carefully pruned trees and rocks are small-scale renditions of natural landscapes. They are often referred to as living sculptures or as three-dimensional poetry. Their artistic composition captures the spirit of nature and distinguishes them from ordinary potted plants. From the 6th century onward, imperial embassy personnel and Buddhist students from Japan visited and returned from mainland China. They brought back many Chinese ideas and goods, including container plantings. Over time, these container plantings began to appear in Japanese writings and representative art. And over centuries, bonsai developed its own unique identity. Unlike penjing, bonsai focuses on a single tree or a group of trees of the same species. And today, News First explores the world of bonsai. This is Naveen Suryarachi. Bonsai has been part of his life for more than 23 years. News First went to see his bonsai collection, which has won him several prestigious awards, including the Japanese Ambassador's Trophy for Best Exhibitor on Show.
I have always been interested in horticulture, even as a kid. And then as you go on, I felt that the ultimate in horticulture is bonsai. So I wanted to reach that level, and I think 23 years ago I started on this bonsai journey, and after 23 years I feel that now I have sort of, we are all still learning, but fairly well mastered the art of bonsai. For me earlier, all my bonsais were in shelves or racks, and they were not individually placed. And because bonsai to be appreciated they have to be given their own space, and also there must be a backdrop. Especially it's a most suitable backdrop is a white backdrop or a black backdrop. Then only the real beauty of the bonsai can be appreciated. It is a work of art, right? And when you create a bonsai and when other people look at it and appreciate it, it gives you a lot of happiness, right? It's like the work of an artist, right? So when your art is appreciated, you feel very happy about it. So it gives you that self-esteem and self-actualization.
Naveen also shared the most common misconceptions he has heard about bonsai.
I'll start with the famous thing that bonsai, we are being cruel to trees. It is an absolute myth, because a lot of people say that you prune trees, so you are cutting trees. that is cruel. So I asked them, do you have a lawn? Do you mow the lawn? Right? Or you don't mow the lawn. So if you have a lawn, you mow the lawn. And that is what happens if you don't mow the lawn. The grass will become unwieldy and lot of grass under will start dying. Right? Same thing. Why does a tree die? A tree dies like the way animals and humans die. When we are young, our bodies are growing. Then we reach by the age of say 20, 25, we are fully grown. Then we don't grow anymore, right? Then from there onwards, then we mature and then we start deteriorating. Same thing happens to a tree, right? The tree grows rapidly and reaches full maturity. After that, the deterioration sets in. Why the tree stops growing? The tree has any species of trees has a height to which it will grow, right? Beyond that, it will not grow. Then, for humans and animals, we can't reverse this. But for trees, we can reverse. For the simple reason, we can prune, and that stimulates growth, right? And for that, because of that reason, the growing is sustained. And there are bonsais which are over 1,000 years. And the reason is that the pruning has kept it growing. And the growing has then prolonged the life of the bonsai, right? So pruning is very beneficial to the plant. This bonsai is called Ceylon boxwood. It's the variety Ceylon boxwood. Sinhalese name is Gangaveral. You find this, used to find this in lot of hedges in the good old days. And this particular style is called the weeping style, because here you can see this tree comes up, goes and it weeps down the branches. And now this tree is overgrown, because in bonsai we let the tree grow and then only prune it, because we have to give it a chance for the plant to grow freely, and then we call it the clip and grow method. So now this tree is a tree which needs pruning now. So here I have to remove this clutter. I will just do one branch so that you can see what the rest, the same thing will be done to the rest of the branches. It's removing this clutter, and because in a bonsai the most essential element are the branches. So you have to see the branch, the trunk line and the branches very clearly. And nothing should of having an exhibition center for bonsai, because bonsais have to be displayed. If it's all in one rack cluttered together, the real beauty of bonsai cannot be appreciated. So bonsai should have its own space, and it should have a backdrop where the outline of the bonsai can be clearly visible. So that is why what now if you see this landscape, it's against a white backdrop. So the outline of every tree can be clearly seen, and there is no, it has its own, it has been given a special place, its own space, and there are no other plants cluttering its view. And bonsai has to be viewed from the front and at eye level.
News First also got to meet individuals who are spearheading the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association, which immensely contributes towards the promotion and development of this captivating art. During this time, the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association was gearing up to host its annual exhibition after a lapse of 3 years. M.A. Pemasiri is a bonsai artist who has over 2 decades of experience.
Bonsai is a Japanese art developed in Japan but originated in China, and some say there have been origins in India as well. So they have their own traditions which has been developed over the centuries. But now it has become a universal art. Each country, all over the world, starting from east to west, they practice bonsai all over. So the traditions also have changed. But basic criteria is that it is an art. The most important thing is it is an art. It should be pleasing to the eye, it should be pleasing to the viewer, and it should be pleasing to the practitioner.
He shared with us the close relationship he has with this fascinating art and explained the technical facet of bonsai.
In bonsai, what we do is developing a plant to simulate, to represent, or to have a simulation of a big tree. So we have to face all the cruelty of the nature, and they somehow survive. During the survival, it creates a lot of beautiful forms of art. So, but in bonsai, the traditional forms are based on these natural forms of trees which have been developed by nature. But in Japan, when they developed this as an art, they categorized them into various styles, like the formal upright, informal upright, cascading trees, windswept trees, like that. But these are the basic guidelines. So there are basic guidelines for these basic styles. It is some hobby which you have to practice and see. Only for a person who has practiced it, it will be felt. You grow with the tree, you will die, but you will leave the tree behind. And it is an art which never finishes. You will just like creating a sculpture, but sculpture using a living medium. Because of that, living medium is a living object. It is growing, it is changing, so we have to live with it. And you have to keep on looking after it. You have to take care of it very passionately, lovingly, and you have to maintain it. You have to. Sometimes it takes about 20-25 years for a tree. So over the period, the tree might not respond to it. So sometimes the main branch will die. But that doesn't mean that the journey is over. The tree will let you take on a different path. You might change the style. You might have a new design. So you keep on doing that. For me, there were so many incidents like that, so many experiences like that. I have been doing it for over 28 years now. So there have been so many trees which have been doing, and there have been trees they have died. So that I have been feeling very sorry, but that's life. But you have new trees, you start doing, and you keep on changing trees. But more than anything, the time you spend with the bonsai, you can't compare it with any other hobby.
Vice President of the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association, Manori Samara Vikrama, described her connection with the art of bonsai.
I did botany for my degree, so I like plants. So at that time also I wanted to do bonsai, but due to difficulties I didn't do it. But later on, around 2013, I started doing bonsai, now about 10 years time. Bonsai actually it's very close to me. It's like a meditation to me. Bonsai, we use hardwood trees. We can't use softwood because we have to bend and wiring and all that. So it's difficult to do with softwood. Basically, if we have trees with a lot of branches, then of course that will be very useful for bonsai. Now all plants need several basic things to grow, like sunlight, air, water and fertilizer. So likewise all other bonsai plants they also need the same things like other plants. If we give them those basic factors, they will grow as same as the other plants. What we need to do is pruning and wiring and all the things, technical things can be done to get the plant we want. We need to give a soil that fulfill basic qualification for the plants to grow. Like we need water retention to some extent, but not fully. Then also water should filtrate easily. Otherwise, it get locked in the bottom of the plot, and that will give some bad diseases like root rotting. People think that bonsai can be kept as an indoor plant, but it needs sunlight. So if you are keeping it inside a room or whatever, then you have to keep it near the window for the sunlight to come.
Attorney Janaka Balasuriya, who is the secretary of the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association, expressed how bonsai has impacted his life throughout the span of years he was involved in this art.
Well, it's actually a great hobby. It's a distraction to your busy life schedules. If you are looking for a sort of mental relaxation and wellness, this is one hobby that you should think of. Most of our members are from professional backgrounds who are engaged in various other disciplines and professional work, who has very tight schedules. So they don't have enough mental, inner peace. I'm a lawyer by profession. Same reasons, because I have a very tight schedule when it comes to my professional life. And as a kid, I knew about bonsai, and I got passionate about it by reading and seeing some of the pictorials published in Japan and China. Mixing those together, I thought at one point I thought despite my busy schedule and career commitments, I need some distraction, a hobby. So I thought I should engage in bonsai. Now I sort of sowing the fruits of what I have invested about a decade ago. It gives you a lot of patience. It teaches you a lot of good discipline as to how you should inculcate patience, and then it gives you a lot of encouragement as to seek for results and don't jump into conclusions. And it's actually a teaching well worth learning. Nature teaches you a lot of things. This is one way that you can have a discourse, a dialogue between nature and yourself. Once you indulge in the art of bonsai, you learn how nature works. Sometimes you cannot override nature's prerogatives. You have to follow them. So that's one basic aspect that I have learned from bonsai.
On the 13th of May, Reflections 2023 Living Images, the much-awaited annual bonsai exhibition hosted by the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association, was declared open by the Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hidaiki.
I was very much impressed by the level of the bonsai that Sri Lankan people are making, and the variety of the forms that they are trying to do too. Japan and Sri Lanka have a long relationship, and it is this relationship is supported not only by the political level but by the people who are doing the cultural things as well. And bonsai is, I think it's not just growing plants. It has a spirit. It has a spirit of Zen, including like living with nature, which is a Japanese spirit. So I think by practicing bonsai, Sri Lankan people will understand more deeply the Japanese culture, and I think that will be a very good opportunity for Japanese and Sri Lanka to understand each other.
It's been just amazing because bonsai is now increasingly more popular, or as well popular outside Japan as much as that is in Japan. And to see that in Sri Lanka, which is quite far away from Japan, and the people, there are so many people who love and cherish the Japanese culture. We appreciate very much.
This is Vanya Vijay Gunawardana. Her beloved mother, the late Sunetra Vijay Gunawardana, was one of the founding members of the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association. In loving memory of her mother, Vanya had put up 2 of her mother's bonsai artwork on display at the exhibition.
Bonsai is something I've sort of known throughout my life because of my mum, and she had a lifelong passion for bonsai. She used to spend hours every day in her garden tending to these amazing pieces of living art, as they're called. So it's really wonderful to be here today to see all the incredible talent that exists in Sri Lanka, and I only hope that more people will get into it, because it is a real art that helps you connect to nature and kind of really appreciate the beauty that exists in nature.
President of the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association, Druki Martinstein, spoke to News First.
I started bonsai in, I think, 1988 when Manel started giving lessons. But it really was my husband, the late Cedric Martinstein, who had a love for all Japanese arts. And both of us got involved in bonsai and then ikebana, because we really appreciated the work and the passion that goes into bonsai. It gives us, when we were stressed, we used to sit down and relax and do our bonsai. We used to go around looking at trees to shape the bonsais that we have got, because this is a living art, and it gives great satisfaction when you see your plant looking the way you wanted to do it. It's an art, but anybody can do it. You don't need to be artistic. I was never artistic. I could never draw, but I can do bonsai. It's changed me to realize that we have to look after our environment. People are destroying so many forests and the environment, that even a bonsai, if it's cloudy, if it's smoky, it affects our bonsais. So it really has enhanced my view on climate change and looking at our environment, and said that what we are doing is we are destroying the beauty of nature.
News First talked to several bonsai artists about their collections.
So this is the mini bonsai that is called Mame Bonsai, mini bonsai collection. And this is again a smaller bonsai tree of the same variety, right here. So right here is a very popular tree with me. So those are with small leaves. And this again a root of a rock style and showing like a creeper going on a rock. And this is called octopus, where you have the roots and the branches spreading like octopus, again a ficus tree. And this is a palu tree which is found in the jungles. It's a very hard tree but very difficult to make also. It's a palu tree. And this is again a halamba tree. This is again found in wild but which has beautiful leaves. And this is veera. This is again a jungle tree. Most of the trees here found in jungles and natural trees.
I started bonsai 23 years ago, or roughly about that period, and I was always interested in horticulture, and I think bonsai is like the PhD of horticulture. So I wanted to get to that, and I think now I have come a long way, but I am still, after 23 years, I am still learning bonsai. And that's the beauty of bonsai, is that you enjoy the journey, not the destination. So this tree is a style called exposed roots, where you can see the exposed roots growing over a rock. It's a ficus panda, the variety, and it is about 30 years in training. I think, but the tree is actually older than that. And where in these styles, one of the essential things in bonsai is that between the branches, birds should be able to fly. There should be space between each branch. That's what we have tried to achieve here. And the trunk of a bonsai should be not obstructed, should be visible from bottom to top. Semi-cascade plant, which is here you see the cascade here, and this is the apex. It's Raithia. It's called Raithia religiosa, which produces a very fragrant flower, and in the common name is water jasmine.
මේ තියෙන්නේ dance landscaping කියන භූමි දර්ශනයක්. ඇත්තටම මට ගොඩක් ආශාවක් හිතුණා මේ ප්‍රදර්ශනයකට මේ වගේ භූමි දර්ශනයක් තියන්න. ඉතින් මට හිතුණා මේ භූමි දර්ශන වලින් ගොඩක් බොන්සයි කලාව අලංකරණය කරන්න පුළුවන් නිසා මම භූමි දර්ශනයක් නිර්මාණය කළා. ඇත්තට මේක ගැන කියනවා නම් මේක සම්පූර්ණ සිමෙන්තියෙන් හදලා තියෙන්නේ. සිමෙන්තියෙන් හැදුවත් මේක ඇතුළ තනිකර ෆයිබර් කරලා තියෙන්නේ මම. මොකද ශක්තිමත්භාවය වැඩි කරන්න මේක මම යොදාගෙන තියෙන ඝනකම කිව්වොත් සාමාන්‍ය සෙන්ටිමීටර් භාගයක වගේ ඝනකමක් මේ සම්පූර්ණ ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එකේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේම මේකේ මම හදලා තියෙනවා මේ ස්වභාවිකව වතුර බිඳු ගලා හැලෙන සිස්ටම් එකක්. ඒක හදලා තින්නේ මම මේ පැත්තේ මේ ප්‍රමාණයේ සම්පූර්ණ ටැංක් එකක් තියෙන මේ ගහ වටේම. ඊට අමතරව මේ ගහ ඉන්දලා තියෙනවා. මේක පොට් එකක් වගේ කළු ගලෙන් හදලා තියෙනවා. මේක ඇතුලේ තමයි ගහ ඉන්දලා තියෙන්නේ සොයිල් එක එහෙම දාලා. මේ ගහක් මම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් වර්ධනය වෙච්ච ගහක් ගලවගෙන ඇවිල්ලා දැන්ට වසර 6කට 7කට පමණ පෙර කුඩාවට තිබුණා. ඊට පස්සේ මේක කොටස් වශයෙන් කීප වතාවක්ම කප්පාදු කර දැන් අවුරුදු වසර 10කට ආසන්න කාලයක් වෙනවා මම හිතන හැටියට මට 6ටම වයස මතක නැහැ. කොහොමද අවුරුදු 10කට කිට්ටු කාලයක් වෙනවා මේ ගහ නිර්මාණය කරන්න නම්.
Bonsai enthusiasts from around the country had gathered to witness the beauty of years of very detailed and intense training that had been carried out on the trees on display. Owing to the peaceful aura and tranquility the alluring art of bonsai radiates, it is said to be very similar to a meditation. Bonsai, the exquisite, mesmerizing, living art.